Liberals are making fun. Yeah, Jagmeet Singh. Oh, Jagmeet Singh has backed off of the whole I support the carbon tax, except that he still supports the carbon tax because he's still propping up Justin Trudeau. But he's trying to differentiate the NDP from the Liberals in the carbon tax sphere because he's going to lose the next election because the Liberals are going to lose the next election, right? And so he's trying to run away from the policies that he voted for while saying, look at my votes. I'm definitely still supporting those policies. We just want change. They're part of the government. They're a very integral part of the government. And if they wanted to change it, they should probably, I don't know, have changed it or something, right? Rather than implementing programs that don't work, expensive programs that don't work, right? And it's very, very concerning. Well, it's funny. The press conference is funny to watch. And it makes me kind of happy because the press aren't letting him just kind of get away with contradictory platitudes, right? Saying things that directly contradict each other. They're not letting him get away with that anymore, which is, I mean, an improvement, I guess. But Jagmeet doesn't know what to do and he runs away. So it's funny. All of it is interesting. There's lots to get to. Let's get to it first. We're going to start with Lion advocacy. And he's very good with making this point. He says the federal government fired pregnant women who didn't want to take the novel COVID-19 jab. Then they deprive these women of employment insurance because refusing the jab constitutes misconduct. Now the federal government is preaching a budget based on fairness. See the problem? They use the Emergencies Act, the War Measures Act, to crack down on their own citizens who were protesting jab mandates. And I said carbon taxes the other day. It wasn't really about carbon taxes, was it? It was about the jab mandates at the time. But it turned into being about everything else too, right? It was really like this government is really terrible. Lion Advocacy is responding to Chrystia Freeland, who's advertising her budget that's coming out today. And she says, Budget 24 is about fairness for every generation. Tune in tomorrow today. I'm not going to play the minute 13 propaganda piece because we've got better things to do. The Globe and Mail is reporting propaganda too. Morning update, federal budget to include tax hikes for some corporations and wealthy Canadians. Right? Yes, tax hikes. If you hike the taxes on a corporation, what do you think they do with that tax? They roll it into cost or price increases for the consumer. Why did they do that? Because that's how it works. Because if you want to buy something from a company, they have to be profitable enough to make that thing. So taxes or any kind of government, it's like when you buy a house, right? Like you're paying $200,000 in taxes, some places, right? $100,000 in taxes. That money is directly on you. Like you could say that the developer has to pay it, but the developer says, yeah, well, the materials cost this and the tax cost this. Here's your bill. I'll pay it all right, sure, after you've paid me for the thing that I built for you, right? Taxes, please. So it's on your bill, right? Like on the wealthy corporations, yeah, sure. I'll pay it for them, thanks, right? So like this is not a change in anything. Here is PJK, and he says, I'm seeing a lot more contractors looking for work. We are entering the phase where unemployment will start to dramatically increase. Look at this recent post by a plumber. It's anecdotal, but indicative. And it says, this is from our Canada Housing. So this is a Reddit post. And it says, I just got laid off today in low-rise residential construction in the local 46. Worked primarily in Oakville and surrounding area. The new builds have ground to a halt. We were pushed to work so hard over the last year to hit closing dates as Mattamy and other builders anticipated higher interest rates and upcoming closing dates. All low-rise plumbing companies are now hitting a crazy slow period. Houses are going up slower and projects being drastically delayed. Could be a canary in the coal mine scenario, but I'm currently out of a job, along with many others, as companies have no work to keep their workforce busy. In a country that needs 3.5 million new homes to achieve affordability, this looks like we're trending in the opposite direction, just to my 2 cents. So that's interesting. This budget that's going to put taxes on corporations like Mattamy, like housing corporations, like people who are creating jobs. And really, like a corporation is a guy like Elon Musk. Elon Musk created PayPal and then sold it to eBay in 1999, right? So like that's why he was rich. But a corporation, Ford Motor Company was just a guy named Ford who built a car and then revolutionized manufacturing. So says the story. And like, so it's just a guy or a girl or a person or a family or whatever putting together a product that like people want. And then it scales up and scales up and scales up until, Henry Ford just becomes Ford Motor Company. And so fine, maybe they've got a cushion for paying extra taxes or paying extra money or something like that. But fundamentally, all that does is take money from the single one taxpayer, like you and me, right? There is only one taxpayer. Municipal taxes go up, well, that's you. Provincial taxes go up, well, that's you too. Federal taxes go up, that's you too, right? Cost of goods goes up, that's you. And cost of housing goes up, also you. Food goes up, you got to pay for that too, right? So like, it's not like, well, you're just paying for some of it and the government's helping you with some of it. Bullshit. You pay for all of it. Okay. All of it. All of it is taken from your salary. All of it. And do they use it well? No. No. Melissa Lanceman is sharing this. Rob says, David Dodge was Paul Martin's deputy minister in the first 4 years of the Jean Chrétien government and a former governor of the Bank of Canada. He predicts tomorrow's budget from the Trudeau Liberals will be the worst in over 40 years. Now, to put that into perspective, Jean Chrétien had the debt crisis. Like, Canada was on the verge of defaulting. Things were bad, right? And this guy was deep involved in that. Like, the sleeves rolled up and I'm working through the evening to fix this problem. We've got to sort this out because, Canada might default. And this is going to be worse than that? Yikes. Here's Vasi Kopoulos and him. 32 seconds. His voice also does not sound anything like I anticipated. I expected kind of a lower kind of baritone, and it's not that. Here we go.
Is to increase saving, but we're moving exactly in the wrong direction, Vasi. This, I was saying to someone earlier, I think this is likely to be the worst budget since the McKechnie budget of 1982. In the sense of pointing us in the wrong direction as to how we go about raising the incomes of Canadians and actually making Canadians feel better over the medium term.
Iago was a very popular character in the early 90s, and so his election makes perfect sense. But really, I mean, pointing us in the wrong direction, we're doing the wrong thing. Yeah, they create a problem with immigration, and that the high immigration led to a housing problem. Reaction: holy cow, housing's way too expensive. You crazy people have to stop. We need to build houses and stop immigration. And they say, solution: we'll build houses. And then nobody's actually building houses because they've created a situation, and we're going to talk about it before the end of this budget set of tabs. They've created a situation where you and me can't buy a house. If you wanted to buy a house or whatever, we can't buy a house. You don't have the down payment. I don't have the down payment. Nobody's got the down payment. You maybe have the down payment if you're already in the market and you can sell your house and then take on another couple $100,000 mortgage to buy $1 million house, right? But if you don't already have something in the market, saving 25 years for a down payment is insane. It's insane. It's insane. Like nobody should do that. And nobody is doing that. So the houses aren't being bought, and they're incentivizing all of the building for apartments. They want people to live stacked in apartments, right? Modular homes that are stacked. And they're going to sell this. They're going to try and sell this, right? They are trying to sell this like this. Lisa Hefner says, tomorrow we deliver budget 24, bringing fairness for every generation, unless you don't get jabbed, in which case you can starve in the freezing cold. I mean, I added that last bit. Here we go.
What's in budget 2024? More infrastructure. And
by the way, this is super cringe. Like, make no mistake, this is very, very cringy. Here we go.
less red tape so we can build more homes and build more affordable homes. A national school food program, serious investments in youth mental health, and contraceptives covered by a national pharmacare plan. We are driving productivity and creating good jobs by supercharging our innovation in AI. Bottom line, fairness for every generation.
It doesn't make any sense. These technologies that didn't exist before, they're going to lead the way. No, they're not. No, they're not. We need to get back to basics. And we have these problems solved. These people are crazy. Terry says Vasi Kopoulos is telling us today that raising taxes on corporations is a really popular idea, moments after she talked to former Bank of Canada Governor David Dodge, who said it was a really stupid thing to do. CTV News contributes to the economic illiteracy of Canadians. Yeah, yep, absolutely true. Here is Amazing Zoltan. He says Canadian houses aren't becoming more expensive. The dollar used to buy them is becoming increasingly worthless. This economist thinks that the Canadian dollar could go down to 50 cents US, right? So That wouldn't be great. How much would our fruit cost then, right? There we go.
If we keep going where we're going, I have the view that Canadian dollar is going to go down substantially.
To what level?
I think it could easily go to 50 cents.
50 cents?
Yeah, that's not good, because if we want to be all richer, we need to grow the pie, but not just grow the pie, but grow the pie per capita as well.
That often, sits at the feet of this concept of productivity. And that's a difficult thing to kind of wrap your head around. It's a difficult thing to campaign on. But is that kind of the source of what's going on here?
Well, definitely is one. I mean, I guess you're aware that productivity in Canada has been very weak, around zero lately. And that's not how you grow the pie. I mean, I have some
Hold on. Where do you get pie seeds? I mean, where are we growing this pie? I want to have a grown pie. I want to grow pie right now. Sorry, it's a very funny visual in my head. And talking about, and I understand you're growing like the pie, right? You're growing a pie piece, but it still seems funny. You grow the pie. Back to the growing the pie.
Views of why taxes, if like we compete against the US, in North America, we compete also against Mexico. So if you're a big company and you're thinking, where am I going to build the next plant? Canada, US, Mexico. Mexico has cheap labor. US has the market. We're a little bit away from the US. So, and then, if tax is high, you mean you have to pay the management, the team more to compensate for the tax that
we're
people
giving
have to
out
pay.
Billions for back.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of different things to consider. And Chrystia Freeland is an amateur, as far as I'm concerned, with money, and she shouldn't be running a country with money. Also, she's a communist, so she really shouldn't be running the country's money. Here is a meme, and I really like this meme. It is, the old school kitchen sink taps, right? And it's got a cup of water, and I guess because it's coming out of the tap, and it says housing, and the tap is immigration, right? It's good, man. It's good. I like visual things like that. I think it says a lot, with few words. Laurie Goldstein says, Trudeau Liberals drowning us in a sea of red ink. The verdict is already in when it comes to the release of Trudeau's government's annual budget on Tuesday. We simply can't afford these Liberals any longer. It's true. This is Cam Guthrie, and he's sharing this. And, well, I respond with this, saying, there was a bomb squad called to the ward the other day. Are you kidding me? Honestly, right? Honestly. But he's saying this is unreal. Daniel says percent change in homebuyers since 2015. So the green line is the first-time homebuyers, and the blue line is repeat homebuyers, and the red line is investors. The reason the investors are increasing is because the set of circumstances is such that you have to have a whole lot of capital in order to invest in a property. If the house cost $1 million, then you need a lot of money for a down payment, 25%, right? $250,000. I think I'm getting that right. So it's not chump change. It's not a small amount of money. It's not like, well, we'll live real lean. We'll live in mom and dad's basement till we figure that out. It's not $5,000. It's not $10,000, and it used to be. So my down payment on my first house was $5,000 plus closing. It was under 10, right? It was like $7,500, which is insane. It's so cheap. I wish now that I bought dozens of houses. Mark P, if I was only good at money. Here's this. So the green line goes down because people can't afford it. And this is minus 5% is that's pretty good. This is still October 2016. I think we're at the beginning of this little 45-second graph. Here we go. So the graph is expanding out, and now the first-time home buyers is minus 8 and continuing to expand out. The investors is only plus 5 and going down to plus 4, but first-time home buyers is now minus 12. We're in 2018. 2018, still lots to go. November 2018, December 2018. Okay, first-time home buyers are rebounding a little bit, up to 10%, going to 8%. Nope, back down in October 2019. And it's not even like we're in the real bad part yet. Okay, so we're April 2020 now, so COVID happened. And first-time home buyers are plunging. Again, 16% down, 18%, negative 20%. Investors are up to 6%, plus 6%. 20% down, October, and that goes to October 21, right? Wow. So honestly, October 21, how do you think it's gotten better since October 21? I would love to see this graph with updated data. Holy cow, right? That's wild stuff. So they've not done a good job at keeping houses affordable. This is not a sustainable economy. You can't do this to people and have people say everything's fine. Everything is the opposite of fine. The opposite of fine, honestly. So Cam Guthrie says unreal. And you know what's unreal, Cam Guthrie? Explosive devices, improvised explosive devices in Guelph. That's unreal. Guelph today is reporting bomb squad called to the ward after man hurt by explosive device. Update. So here's the Guelph police saying 2 streets east of downtown Guelph are closed for an ongoing criminal investigation. Ontario Street from Arthur to Short, Manitoba Street from Ontario to Wood. Please avoid the area. We will provide an update when the streets reopen. And so IEDs, great, wonderful, right? And here is in Edmonton. This is just a different kind of crime. Attempted carjacking in Terwilliger by the rec center. We were driving on Ledger Road by the Terwilliger Rec Center at 10:41 p.m. last night when 3 young adults surrounded our car and stopped us on the road. One of them tried to open the car doors and we saw them mouthing for us to get out of the car. They only left because another car showed up behind us. We were pretty unsettled as we've never encountered something like this in Edmonton. So I used to go to England because I have family in England, and used to watch there's 4 channels, 5 channels if you're lucky, 5 channels. BBC 1, BBC 2, Channel 3, Channel 5. Oh no, BBC 1, 2, 3, Channel 4, and Channel 5. ITV was one of them. ITV was Channel 5, I think, and there was Channel 4. So there wasn't a lot to watch. And I remember watching a documentary about driving in unsafe countries. And basically, in unsafe countries like Johannesburg, they used Johannesburg as one. So you could fly into South Africa and then drive from the airport to where you're staying. But then if you want to go for groceries, or if you're going between towns or something like that, you have to have the people who the show was following had a security detail that went with them, 3 cars. And so if you were driving down the road and your lead car pulled over for any reason, you were supposed to continue driving. Your car was supposed to continue driving. And you're not driving any of these cars, by the way. You're a passenger in these vehicles. And there's security people in all 3 cars. Not one security person in each car. Security people in each car. It's expensive, I would imagine. It was in the 90s anyway. So they're driving. The first car is pulled over or stopped or waylaid for some reason. You don't stop. No matter what they say, you don't stop. You carry on. And the people who are who are paying for the security become the follow car, and the car following becomes the lead car, and you carry on to your destination, and the other car is supposed to catch up if it's legit, and if they're dead, well, they're dead. And I was like, what? This seems not exactly like that, but the beginnings of something like that, right? Here's the footage of what's going on. So they pull up, and there's 3 guys in formation, right? 2 on either side of the car, 1 in the front of the car. I think at this point, I'm not slowing down. I'm revving the engine and rolling the window just to say, I'll run over you effers, right? There's absolutely no way that I would let this situation get to this level at this point. Nope, not happening. And I'd be making sure that they knew that if I felt in danger, that I would respond as if I was in danger. And so he backs the car up, or they back the car up, and the person chases the car and tries to hit it with the stick. Pretty crazy stuff, right? They only left because of another car. They seemed young, so we just wanted to warn others in the area to watch out. This seems like it could escalate to more dangerous behavior if there were weapons involved. Yeah, you get the wrong people in that car and they get out or whatever, and there could be an altercation, and it's not going to go well for anybody, I don't think. Not at all. Ryan Garrettson is sharing this, and gov.exe is sharing this. Justin Trudeau says the biggest threat to democracy is the spread of misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda. I think it might be IEDs and random gangs who are making the country completely unrecognizable from what it used to be. That might be the biggest danger to Canada right now. But Justin Trudeau thinks it's people talking about things that are happening in the country that he doesn't like. Right. So here's, I don't know. I don't know how long of this we're going to listen to. I just want to give you the flavor of the insanity that's currently sitting in the Prime Minister's office. I don't particularly want to listen to very much of it. So Trudeau warning, probably less than 30 seconds. Here we go.
Part of the larger fight that we have right now for democracy, obviously in the region where it's challenged just south of you, but also around the world as democratic principles are backsliding, are under attack from misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda. Your continued efforts are
The sticks in those guys' hands were misinformation and disinformation. That was the names of the sticks. They named them. It's just a thing, right? Trudeau's Dystopia, How the Woke Conquered Canada. This I thought was really interesting. He starts off the conversation talking about how Canada was kind of taken over. And then at the end, he says, he wraps it all up perfectly about what's going to happen with Poilievre. He wraps it just in a nice, tight little package. It's perfect. So we'll listen to the first minute in a bit, and then we'll listen to the end. Here we go.
We talked briefly there about Canada. You grew up there, didn't you? You grew up
yes.
there. When you look at the country now, I mean, it's now become this byword for kind of, woke dystopia, if you like.
Yes, right.
Why Canada? Why did it happen with Canada?
Well, it happened, and this is kind of an argument I make, is that the seeds were already, the ground was already laid. It was fertile ground for the woke revolution.
Oh.
And in fact, so much of what we think of as woke extremism, actually, if we go back to an earlier era of multiculturalism, that was a kind of wokeness before its time, but just not as extreme. So Canada, for example, what happens is you have the decline of the British Empire, the end of Canadian loyalism, and the replacement of the British identity, which was really what defined Canada as opposed to the United States, as they were loyal to the crown in the Revolution. And so the loyalists founded Canada in sort of the late 18th century. That was the basis for Canadian identity, with the exception of the French, which is a bit more complicated. But British Empire goes away and they have to find a new identity. It's just around the time of the 1960s. And so the country is completely reinvented from scratch as a left-wing country. That had never been its identity. It's complete fiction. And the other fiction is this.
So the whole 7 minutes is totally worthwhile, but we'll just fast forward to the end. He says, the interviewer asks, who's the People's Party? And he says, oh man, they're pretty good, but they're not going to get in because people are going to have to go through voting for Poilievre and being disappointed. And I was like, yep, that's basically it. Here we go. It's going to be like this. Hold on a second. We'll start it right here.
You've just got this massive wave, and even the Conservative Party, because of the so-called immigration consensus, right? So a taboo over reducing immigration, they're not willing to go against Trudeau. And the whole system is completely out of control. There is a populist party. Problem is, in a way, that people are so keen on getting rid of Trudeau, which I understand, the guy is revolting. So if the priority is to get rid of this person, you have to go with the most likely candidate. And that's the problem. So because Trudeau is so awful, people just want him out. So fine, you vote for the Conservatives, but the Conservatives have no real incentive necessarily to be tough on migration or on woke.
What is the name, just for future reference, what is the name of the populist party?
Oh, the populist party is called the People's Party of Canada, PPC,
Right.
and they're very good. But I don't think they'll get a break until the Conservatives get in and people see that not doing anything on these issues.
Well, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, he's right. That's exactly what's going to happen. Darn it, right? It's so obvious, and it's right there staring you in the face. Iran, we got to talk about Iran really quickly. So it seems like what's happening now is that Iran is going to be blamed for the whole Gaza, Israel being aggressive towards Gaza. That's what they're going to be blamed for. That's what they're setting up for. Iran did it, and so now Israel has to respond. So No says, ha, to Jonathan's tweet. Jonathan says, talking to European friends in various government positions, there's been an overnight shift in views on the Middle East. After recoiling from the images out of Gaza for weeks, even months, there's now wide recognition that this entire thing has been engineered by Iran. So there's that. I think that's interesting. Here's Melanie Joly asked if Trudeau government will list the Islamic Republic Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organization. We're working on it since January. Joly tells Israel to take the win. What win? Iran launched a full-scale assault on Iran, but I don't know that they'd call it a full-scale assault. And there wasn't much damage. And also, we're ticking down to the end of that 48 hours that I mentioned yesterday, and I haven't seen anything. I thought if there was something to happen, it was going to happen overnight, and it doesn't. I don't have any news about that, so that's interesting. There you go. Here's Mel Joly. No, that's a bit loud. Hold on. Sometimes I have it turned up because the other ones are very, very quiet. And I actually had to turn myself up today because the setting that was on before is no longer correct. I have no idea why. Maybe somebody was out messing with my stuff. But anyway, here's Mel Jolie.
Will you be designating the IRGC as a terrorist organization?
Thank you. So first and foremost, we know that Iran is spreading its terror within its own country and also across the region and the world. And that is why we've sanctioned very clearly key individuals and will continue to put maximum pressure against the Iranian regime, which completely disregards peace. The Minister of Public Safety is actively working on options, and it is important that we also coordinate with our key allies. Meanwhile, I must say that it is clear that Canada is pushing for de-escalation in the region, and that is a coordinate.
Who cares? Who cares? Right? Like, it's like you saying, we're really lobbying for my neighbor or our neighbor to paint his garage door blue. We've let them know what we want, and we're waiting to see the response with the paint when the paint starts to go up. Like, who cares what you want? Here's Jagmeet Singh absolutely losing control of a press conference, and then he runs away at the end because he cannot gain control of the press conference. And they keep asking him the same question because he keeps dodging and weaving, even though he says unequivocally, my position is very clear that I'm walking away from now. All the votes that I made before, we're walking away from that in order to give you a new program. But obviously, look at my votes. Like, it's very, very, the press is having absolutely none of it. Here we go.
Yes or no? Do you support a consumer carbon levy? Yes or no?
Our position has not changed at all. But our position has not changed.
What is your position?
Our position, you've seen our votes. Our position has not changed.
Right now, what is your position?
We absolutely support a price on pollution. We've always supported it.
For consumers.
We've always supported
I'm just looking to clarify, sir. Do you support a consumer carbon price?
I've said it again and again, and you've seen our votes on this. We absolutely support a price on pollution. We have not changed our position on that. We have not changed our position on that.
But you won't actually confirm what it is.
We have not changed our position. You could look at our voting record. We've been very clear. We support a price on pollution. But our concern, for consumers, we have absolutely been very clear. Our position has not changed. And so you can look at our voting record, and our position is very clear.
So I'm going to fast forward it because he tries to define the position and he doesn't. And then they say, wait, you're saying exactly the same thing. And then this is how it kind of ends. I'll leave it to the last 40 seconds or so. Here we go.
These are my concerns. One is I'm concerned specifically with the fact that the government has billions of dollars for oil and gas companies and says no to working class people. That's important. But specifically, I'm going to answer the question very specifically. I've been asked a question. This is my final answer. On the final piece on what our plan is, we want to see a plan that makes the big polluters pay their fair share, that's fair to workers, and that reduces our emissions. Thank you very much. Merci.
Running away. Look at this.
A consumer carbon levy on gasoline.
Gone. Absolutely gone. So yeah, we want to do whatever Chrystia Freeland's going to come up with on the budget. And no more questions. We've been very clear. No more questions. Thank you very much. No more questions. Ridiculous. Here's Dan McTeague. He says he's ringing the alarm bells on using lithium battery storage. He says, friends, please have a look and raise this with your MPP, your member of provincial parliament in Ontario. Battery storage isn't just costly, it's likely to raise security concerns as well. Ontario's electricity grid operator wants to spend billions of dollars switching to lithium-ion battery storage. Here's why Ontario residents should be worried about this. It's minute 17.
Ontario's electricity grid operator is spending billions of dollars while making the system worse, and it could seriously impact you. The Independent Electricity Systems Operator, which is responsible for bringing electricity to your home, wants to spend billions buying lithium-ion batteries to power Ontario's electricity grid. This is a bad investment, paid with your money. Lithium-ion batteries don't last longer than 20 years, and then IESO will have to spend billions more to replace them. But this deal gets even riskier. The IESO has agreed to tie the price of lithium on the Shanghai metals market. That means that if the price suddenly goes up, you're going to have to cover the cost. And with demand for lithium-ion batteries growing rapidly faster than supply, we could be facing an international shortage by 2025. In fact, the price already went up 12 times in 2022 alone. Not to mention that leaves Ontario vulnerable to price manipulation by the Communist Party of China. All of this means that the cost of your electricity could severely rise overnight. The IESO needs to reject this terrible deal. Ontario residents should not be paying more to get less reliable energy storage that has to be replaced in a couple decades.
Do you know that the Ontario government spends tax dollars directly to the hydro companies to make sure that our bills are lower? Because Kathleen Wynne and the Green Revolution screwed our energy bill, our energy everything so badly that energy, the real kilowatt hour cost of our energy is much higher than it actually is. So we pay for our hydro bill through directly, like paying our hydro bill, but also through taxes that Doug Ford gives back to the hydro companies to make sure our bills are lower than they otherwise would be. Isn't that crazy town? And they want to spend billions of dollars to do this for green reasons. These people are not working for us. They are working for anybody but us. They're working for globalists who want to promote this climate change nonsense in order to maintain control over us. Here's Mark Gerritsen, and this is the Danielle from Calgary, I guess, from Alberta. This is condescending. This is meant to like thumb their nose at us type deal. Anybody who disagrees that carbon taxes are a good idea, they're trying to make it like they're trying to make you an idiot. It's like making fun of a pacifist in the Second World War, or maybe not even a pacifist, but somebody who doesn't want to go to war, right? Shaming them, saying that they're not brave and so on and so forth, making it so like women won't date them and so on and so forth. They're trying to make it that kind of they're trying to make anybody who says this stuff, like, well, we should be doing oil and gas, into a social pariah. That's the point of all of this, okay? Here's Gerritsen, Mark Gerritsen. I think he makes himself look foolish here because the argument is invalid. Like, it's silly, but here we go.
Mr. Speaker, Danielle from Alberta knows that she gets back more in the Canada carbon rebate than she pays through the federal-backed SALP on pricing pollution. Premier Smith, Danielle, actually did the math herself and came to the conclusion that, quote,
I would say that I probably ended up better off with that transfer. And so,
end quote. Can the Minister of Environment and Climate Change please inform Danielle and other Canadians of what they should expect to see in their bank accounts today as a result of the Canada carbon rebate, and how much this policy is helping Canadians with the cost of living while at the same time protecting the environment for generations to come?
good question.
It's just condescending, right? And here is Galbo being condescending as well. And here we go.
Mr. Speaker, if the Conservatives had an ounce of intellectual integrity, they would admit to Canadians that 97% of fuel used on farms where there is pollution pricing is not taxed by the federal government, first of all. Secondly, do you know what I've been doing, Mr. Speaker, recently? I've been meeting with farmers from Quebec, Alberta, Nova Scotia. I've been meeting with grain farmers, cattle farmers. They don't talk to me about carbon pricing. They talk to me about the hundreds of millions of dollars due to impacts from climate change in the farming sector in the country. Mr. Speaker, if the
None of that is true. None of that is true. What does he say at the beginning?
The Conservatives had an ounce of intellectual integrity.
An ounce of intellectual integrity. If they weren't so dumb, right? They'd know. And no. It is just meant to make fun of and malign people who are daring to stand up and say this is. Hello everyone, thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful